Hi guys, and welcome to Winesday episode 2, and I'm excited for this one because it is Christmas themed, sort of, because this story that I'm going to tell you happened around Christmas. So, but first, in order to get started, you guys can pause, go get yourself a beverage or a snack. I've got myself a beverage, hot cocoa. Come on. And Zigzag's trying to decide if he wants to come up here. I tried to be artistic with my whipped cream and it just did not work out. So I've got this giant mug that's the size of my face, and inside this mug is hot cocoa and rum. And I've got this festive little straw, so here we go. Please pause and go get yourself a drink. Come on, get up here. Yay! Zigzag says hello. Hello! So, have you gotten yourself a drink yet? Because I've been drinking this and it's good. So, we have to preface this story, and in order to do that, we have to go back to September of 2012. Shortly before my 21st birthday. Oh, I bumped you, I'm sorry. Shortly before my 21st birthday, and I was looking for a job. It was right after I got fired from Payless, which would be a different story. So that was like July. So August and September I was hardcore looking for jobs. I was applying everywhere in the mall that was possible. I was applying for all sorts of things on Craigslist, and then finally a couple days before my birthday I had found a job on Craigslist that was for a kiosk selling like hats and scarves and gloves and kind of homemade items. So I applied for it, and she sent me back an email with like a whole questionnaire, and I did an interview and then didn't hear back. And then I went to had my 21st birthday, which was on a Sunday, went to school that Monday, and my phone was having some serious issues. Like it would die really, really fast, like it had no battery life, and when I plugged it in, it would sit there and turn itself off, back on, off, back on. So I missed her call saying that I got the job, and I started that like Wednesday or Thursday, I think. Or maybe like the next couple weeks. So anyway, so then I met up with her and we went to the mall that we were going to be working in, and she showed me where our kiosk spot was going to be, and you know, kind of what was going to happen and what we were going to do, and she was like sharing her business plans and stuff with me, and I was really excited because I'm like, okay, here's a woman who is following her dream. She's becoming a powerful woman, starting her own business, doing this on her own, and I'm going to be her employee slash personal assistant, helping her on this journey. And I was very, very excited for that. I was so excited because, you know, I figured it would lead me places, and even if it didn't lead me places, it would give me ideas of how to do things for myself, and I was just excited for this job, and you know, I was gonna get a paycheck. So I start this job, it's all great and dandy. Then we get into, you know, we sold a couple scarves here and there just because it was starting to, some people were starting to do like Christmas shopping, and some people were starting to get prepared for winter, or they were going on a trip that was going to be really cold. So, you know, whatever, we made decent sales. And then November came and we weren't making that much sales because people did not want to go buy our scarves. And our scarves were handmade in Nepal by my manager's mom, dad, and sister. And I put quotes on everything because, yeah, they were handmade in Nepal, but you can go to any one of those kiosks or stores in the mall where there's handmade stuff from Nepal, and it looks exactly like what was at my kiosk. And she actually ended up bringing her sister out from Nepal to help us with our Christmas rush, and her sister, who was supposedly out there making these products, and she comes out and she's like, oh, this is a cute little cat hand puppet or whatever it was, and she's like, oh, what is this? I'm like, what do you mean, what is this? You make these, right? No, she didn't. And so things kind of started getting a little bit interesting in November after we didn't sell a lot on Black Friday, because her scarves were like, the cheapest one was like $40, and it's like nobody wanted to spend that much on a scarf. Like I talked maybe 2 people into it, but it was really hard for me to be like, okay, yeah, Rue 21's upstairs, Forever 21's down the hall, you've got this store right here, this store right here, this store right here. They all sell scarves that are all the same. They're the same colors, same quantity, and you can get the one upstairs for $5, or you can buy this one for $45. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna buy the one for $45? I don't think so. I only talked a couple of people into taking their ones from Rue 21 back and getting ours because they were better quality. And so my manager tried to fire me one day because I wasn't making enough sales, and we had a like candelabra thing, like it's like one of the candle centerpieces that have little spikes on them so you can just stick the tower candles on them. Well, we had those for our hat display, so we would stick like a styrofoam ball on that and then stick the hat on it, and then we had like the underneath storage in our kiosk. And so one night I was trying to put everything away, and it had been a really long night, and I didn't feel good, and I just wanted to go home by zigzag, and that thing fell over on top of me, and I put it back up. I put all the balls back, I put all the hats back, maybe not in the same exact places that she had them, but it looked nice, like it looked neat, it didn't look messy. So then the next morning she goes into work to open the store, and she sends me a picture of that hat rack and texts me saying that she's going to have to fire me because I wasn't making enough sales and things like that. And I'm like, oh hell no. Like, I was in the parking lot going to pay my car payment that I hadn't paid in a few months because I didn't have a job, and here she is firing me. I'm like, what the hell? So I just, like, I went inside, I paid my car payment, so that would be taken care of, and then I get on the phone with her. I'm like, okay, first of all, you cannot fire me. Let me come down there, let me talk to you about this, because I was supposed to have a shift in, like, that afternoon. So I called her up. I'm like, you know what, just let me come in, let me talk to you about this, because there are reasons for this. It's not just like I'm doing a bad job and you're gonna fire me. Like, that's not how this is gonna work. Like, let me explain this to you. So, time for another sip. Do you like my Christmas tree straw? I like it. It came from Target. Go figure. Anywho, so I drove over to the mall, and I explained to her, I'm like, okay, so you have the advantage of making more sales than I do because you are this tiny little Nepal woman who has a thick accent and is like, oh yeah, my mom and dad are over in Nepal making these scarves with my sister, and she makes these booties. So of course people are gonna be like, oh my god, you were at this kiosk supporting your family, of course I'm gonna buy this. And I'm sitting here like, yeah, my manager, she's from Nepal, and her parents are still back there with her sister, and her sister makes these adorable booties, and her mom made this scarf, and isn't it gorgeous? And they're like, I had a couple of people be like, oh wow, that's so great. And some people were looking at me, they're like, but you're not from Nepal. I'm like, no. Well, you don't look like you're from Nepal. I'm not. Are you related? No. So it's not your mom and dad doing this. No. Is your brother over there doing this? I just work here. So how do I know that these are handmade? Because my manager says that her parents make them? I mean, you can see that kind of struggle there, and so that's what I had to explain to her. I'm like, you know what, that's how you have that advantage over me of making sales and why I don't, and these are $45 to $65 scarves. Nobody wants to buy them when they can go into the Forever 21 and get like 20 for $45. So, I mean, I even ended up going to Walmart and seeing that they had their $5 scarf wall, and you could buy any scarf you wanted, any color, any pattern for $5, and it's like, this is why nobody wants to buy our scarves, and she just didn't understand that. And she also picked a mall that wasn't in the richest neighborhood. Like, if she would have went to Cherry Creek, she would have sold all her scarves in a day. If she went to the 16th Street Mall, she'd be selling them like crazy. But no, she chose to go to a mall that was it was an up-and-coming fashion mall. Like, it used to not be kind of more towards fashion, and they were in the process of like upgrading their stores and everything to be more like fashion forward. And I mean, there's even a more fashion mall but less populated mall that she could have gone to and sold more, and she just didn't really know how to do that. So there was that issue, but I explained all that to her, and I'm like, and I explained what happened to her with a little display thing, and she was like, oh, okay, I'll give you another chance, come back to work at 6, so I did. I went grocery shopping, called my dad, told him all about it and everything, and he thought that was just insane. And so then I continued working there, and we were continually not having sales, and then the people who were in the kiosk next to us did eyebrow threading, and they were from Nepal too, and decided to tell my manager that I just sat there and did nothing the entire time. So she would come in and just be like spying on me from upstairs to make sure that I was doing something, and I'm like, okay, nobody wants to buy these scarves, what do you want me to do? She's like, well, maybe ask them. Okay, so as if it is not bad enough, walking down the mall, just trying to get through all of your stuff, just trying to get to the stores you need to get to and get in and get out and get done. And you've got everybody, oh, here, have this for your hair. Oh, here, how long does it take to straighten your hair? Let me see you with curly hair. Try this hand cream. Give me your hand. I'm just going to squirt this in your hand. Come try my popcorn. Want to try my warm roasted nuts? On top of all of that, you now want me to go, here, try on my scarf. Really? Really? Like, alright, I don't want to get fired, so I'm going to do this. People are walking by. I'm like, hey, would you like to try this scarf? Hey, this would match your shirt. Hey, would you like to try a scarf? And they all said no. I maybe had one person say yes. Even when she stood up in front and did it. She's like, this is how you do it. Scarf. So that was just annoying in general. And her husband was white, and he owned his own business as well, and he didn't like me, and they were kind of like doing this sharing money thing, and there was even one point where it was a Friday, and I got paid that day, and I came in to work after school, and she was like, yeah, so we didn't bring in enough money this week, so I don't remember if I got paid weekly or every 2 weeks. I think it was every 2 weeks. But she was like, yeah, we didn't bring in enough money this week, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay rent and you. So here's your check. It is post-dated to Monday, so just don't cash it till Monday, because our rent's due tomorrow. So I'm like, okay. So I took my post-dated check, put it in my purse. I was like, oh, and I'm not coming in Saturday and Sunday then because I need gas to drive here and I don't have the money to do it, and you just gave me a post-dated check. So I'm not coming in Saturday and Sunday. She's like, okay, that's fine. I'm like, okay, bye. So then that stuff goes on, and then I was, also supposed to be her personal assistant, and her parents came out to visit for Christmas, or for like after Thanksgiving-ish. So this one was actually before that. So there is still, like, I have these window crayons that are made by Crayola, but if you put them on your car window and let them bake in the sun for 2 weeks, they do not come off. And for my 21st birthday, I was like, yay, friends, brother, mom, write all over my car, write happy 21st birthday and blah, whatever you want, and it was great. And my brother drew penises all over my car. So I had penises all over my car window. So then I'm at work, and it is 10:30. Okay, or at school, I mean. I went to school from 8:30 until 12:30. At 10:30, she texts me and is like, hey, I need you to come in at 12. I'm like, hey, I can't come in at 12. I'm in school right now and I don't get out till 12:30. It takes me a half an hour to get down there, so I can't be there till 1. She's like, okay, well, after you get out of school, I need you to go pick up my parents and bring them to the mall, and then I'll just pay you for an extra hour. I'm like, okay. So I got out of school at 12:30. I went home to my house, changed clothes into work, and then I had to drive all the way back down to my school because that's where she lived and her parents were staying. And then I had to get gas. So I'm like, okay, change clothes, go get gas, drive down there. While I'm pumping my gas, I'm seeing on my windows that there are baked on dicks. I'm like, oh my god. So it's pumping gas, I'm like grabbing the squeegee thing, I'm like out there scrubbing my windows as hard as I possibly could. Like everything was shaking. I was using every fiber of my being to scratch them off. Some of them wouldn't come off, and I had acrylic nails at the time, and I actually had to go in there and scrape them off. There was only one left because he drew them in the corners, like tiny little ones, big ones, and there was one on the side window that was a smiley face. The balls of eyes and the, Excuse me, those presents are not for you, mister. He found his Christmas. Oops. Anyway, so I'm like, oh my god. So I left that one because I figured it did not look like a penis. So when I finally get down there, pick them up, and they get in my car. Her mom's riding up front, her dad's riding in the back, and I know it's a cultural thing, and then she offered me a drink of her water, and I said no, because I'm like, I don't know where you people have been. You don't know where I have been. No. So I get them to work, and I get them to the mall, and I got to work at 3. I only got paid 1 extra hour for that. That did not cover my gas. That was like $5 from driving from school to my house, back to past my school, and then all the way back down to the mall. Like, it was insane. And they were like, talking in a foreign language the whole time, and I'm like, oh my god, are you judging my driving? Are you talking shit about me? I don't know. Probably they were, but that was the thoughts going through my head. And so just shit like that was just kind of getting on my nerves. And like, I knew that being a personal assistant, that's kind of went along with the territory. but the post-dated checks did not. And she just kept getting worse and meaner to me, and she had her sister there, and she would have, like, the point of bringing in her sister for the holiday rush was so that, like, she could work, you know, she could open the store at, like, whatever time the mall opened, and then I'd get off work at 12:30, and then come to work from 1 until 6, and then her sister would do the closing shift, or, you know, I would do the closing shift, so that we could have shift work going on, so we could, you know, constantly have different people rotating through there and make it work out better. And she was talking about hiring someone else, and she interviewed like one person, and it didn't work out because she couldn't hang with standing at a kiosk doing nothing all day. So what happened was, I just got really, really sick of it, and I got really sick of her shit and her texting me and demanding me. And like Black Friday, I came in, they gave us these shirts that you were supposed to wear if you were like mall staff, like a kiosk instead of an actual like store if we were freestanding. And we were supposed to be wearing those shirts, so I was wearing one. I showed up to work at 11:30 on Thanksgiving night, and she's like, oh, are we supposed to be wearing those shirts? I'm like, yeah, we are. And she's like, oh. She's like, well, I'm gonna go shopping, so you've got this. So basically, I had the kiosk to myself from midnight until 10:30. And that's not how it was supposed to be. We were supposed to do shifts. Like, it was supposed to be me from midnight to like 2, then I was supposed to go get coffee, and she was supposed to watch it for a couple hours. No, she just up and left me, and so did her sister. And I'm like, hey, I have to go to the bathroom. Oh, I'll come down and watch it for 5 minutes. So she watched it from the balcony while I went to the bathroom, came back, she went off and did her shopping. I'm like, alright, it's 10:30, I'm leaving, I'm tired, I'm going to bed, I did not sleep, bye. So I did a little bit of shopping. I got home at like noon, and I just passed out on the bed. Like, I got home and just flat out went to sleep. And at 12:30, she's texting me asking me if I could come back in at 1 and close the store. Okay, so now I'm supposed to get off work at 10:30, go back in at 1, and work from 1 until 10? I don't think so. I didn't even get that text message until I woke up at 3 when my dad was calling me nonstop because he's like, hey, I'm getting home. I'm off work. Let's go eat. You gotta be hungry. Let's go. I'm like, okay, Dad, let's go. So I got up, got dressed, running off of like half an hour of sleep, and we went to Toby Keith's I Love This Bar and Grill, and that was the first time I'd ever been there, and that was fun. And it has nothing to do with this kiosk story, but that went along with that day. So anyway, kiosk story. So I kept working there, and then come to December, I was working there, and things were just not going well, and she was just being a bitch, and I wasn't living with Zach yet, but I was hanging out with him. Didn't know if he liked me yet or not. And I was hanging out with him and his brother, and so him and his brother knew all about this crazy kiosk bitch. And so then I went over to Zach's house after school one day, and it was the 22nd or 23rd. Christmas was on a Sunday. So it was the 23rd when Christmas was on a Sunday. And I went into work, got out of school at 12:30, went to Zach's house until like 1:30, 2 o'clock. I was supposed to be at work at 4. I went into the mall at 3:30, and I walked up there, and they were like, oh, hey, how's it going? Happy Friday. I'm like, there's like, you're not supposed to be here for another like half an hour, 45 minutes. I'm like, oh, I know. But I'm here to pick up my check, and I'm just letting you know that I am giving you my resignation effective immediately because I cannot continue to work under these hostile work environment situations. So that's that. Bye-bye. And she's like, well, I don't have your check ready. I'm like, okay, well, I'll come back in tomorrow morning and I will pick it up at 9 o'clock. So it better be ready. And then I leave. And I look, and she's like just shocked. Like, she looked like somebody just came up to her and like punched her in the face. So then I leave. About 4 hours after my shift was supposed to start, I start getting all sorts of like bitchy text messages, bitching me out, telling me how it is not right for me to quit on a Friday because that's what she hired me for, and I'm not allowed to just quit whenever I want, especially not on a Friday, especially not during the holidays. Yes, 2 days before Christmas. and you know how just all this stuff, and I just texted her back. I'm like, first of all, I did not sign a contract with you, so I can quit whenever I damn well please, and if you aren't okay with that, I have a pretty good lawyer, so I'm not really worried about this. And she turned her attitude around real fast when I said that. She's like, well, I have a lawyer too, you know, if you want to start talking about that, but I just want you, you know, to be a good employee and be here. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not your employee anymore, and I'm coming in at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going to pick up my check, and all of my commission better be on there from November and December, and all of everything better be on there. And I'm bringing my dad with me. Now, people are intimidated by my dad just because he also kind of has a resting bitch face. So he went with me, and he brought his camera, and he was standing far away and took pictures as I was picking up my check. And then we wanted to walk around the mall because, you know, it was 2 days before Christmas. Why not? And so he went upstairs, and he ended up taking pictures of the kiosk and stuff just to freak them out. And so they were like, they called security because they were scared, and we're like, what is security gonna do? Like, she actually texted me, she's like, if your dad doesn't, or if your boyfriend doesn't stop taking pictures of us, I'm calling security. I'm like, what are you gonna do? There's no signs on your kiosk that say do not take pictures. And so I didn't text her back. And then I realized I still had her key. And I'm like, well, shit. So we went up to a security guard, and we were like, hey, this is the key to that kiosk downstairs. Can you bring it to them? And he was like, okay, this is kind of weird. Like, why do you have their key, and why are you wanting me to give it to them? And I'm like, I used to work there. She's being a crazy bitch, and I don't want to go back down there. So can you please give this key to her? And he was like, okay. And then we got the fuck out of the mall. Like, that was the end of that. And it was a very stressful day. I was like freaked out, and me and my dad went out to breakfast after that. It was just insane. It was not a very good working experience. And then after that, I didn't have a job for over a year. Well, almost a year. So. But what I did learn from that job is that kiosk jobs are hard, because it's not an actual store. It's just a little pop-up shop, and when you're walking by the kiosks, everybody has a stigma about them anyway, because people are going to be like, hey, try this, do you want to do this? Try my lotion. Put the lotion on your skin. It's nice. You know? And, I mean, one time I even ate the lotion off of the lotion sample, so that's a different story. But, anyway, moral of the story is don't work for the kiosk ladies. Yeah. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this holiday story time, and I will see you in Winesday number 3, which will be up next month, and I've got a great story for you guys about that. So if you guys have had a horrible boss or a horrible job, or if you worked at a kiosk or know someone who worked at a kiosk and had a terrible time of it, let me know down there, or tweet me or something, and please subscribe and like and let me know what you want to see, and I will talk to y'all later. Have a great holiday. Bye.